Solana, ever since the 9th of September when it hit these levels at $215, has continued to struggle to the downside. But are we starting to see somewhat of a bottom being put in here? Are we going to be able to mount a recovery? In today's episode, we're going to look at what's happening on Solana in the shorter time frames that's giving us a clearer indication of what could be about to happen here. So zooming into Solana on the 1 hour chart, we can see that we can draw a line all the way down through here, showing that the bulls have been losing a bit of strength and we're finding it difficult to be able to break through and push back up towards the upside. However, what's key to see at the moment is that Solana back on the 4th of September put in this high here, and then ever since then has started to continue to find this as a very strong level of support, only a couple of times wicking down through and then being pushed swiftly back towards the upside. What we're seeing happening at the moment on the sort of shorter time frames is we have again put in this bounce here down at the $151 level and been pushed back towards the upside. We have now been consolidating for quite a few days now, indicating that some sort of a move is likely to be playing out for us. Now, what we would then take in terms of a price target, obviously Solana, until it is to break out and have a close outside this, we potentially are not safe. And if Solana is unable to maintain these levels, then we could potentially be taking a dip down towards this level at around $86. Now, obviously, bearing in mind that Solana is obviously trending at the moment, a lot of people are interested in Solana. It doesn't mean that if it does break down to the downside that it has to complete all the way down to this point. Bearing in mind that previously we did find a good deal of support just below this level, sort of around the $135 level and slightly below that $130 level where we had this significant point of resistance back here. And if we were to take a drop down towards this sort of level here, that could potentially be around a 15% drop in the price. However, there are obviously different things playing out, and if we are, as I mentioned, having this breakout, then we could potentially be looking at a price target here of $224, which obviously would then put us just above previous all-time highs. If we were unable to break those previous all-time highs, then we could potentially be looking at some sort of a double top, which ultimately is a very bearish pattern. However, until that happens, we're very much in play and things are looking quite good for Solana. Jumping back to Solana on the daily, we can see that we've returned into normal levels on the RSI after this significant period where we spent quite a lot of time in the overbought territory, where I was warning that we would potentially be taking a dip, which is looking something like this. Now, obviously, the trend is your friend until the end, and we are currently still very much in a bit of a downtrend. But what are we looking at? Every time we've been taking these dips, we've got these wicks. And over this period, we had all red candles. And notice yesterday we put in this sliver of a green candle, and today we're doing pretty much the same. And because of the lack of price movement, we can see that the volume is quite low indeed. And that is going to potentially mean that a move or a decision must be made in either an upwards direction or a downwards direction. And when jumping back to the 1 hour, we can see what's going to potentially be our indicator for that is we do need to break these levels. And in my opinion, although we would have a breakout, I think if we're able to break back above the $163 level, which is somewhere around here, then we would be forming somewhat of a W pattern, which would then get us on our way to a potential breakout. Once we then flip that into some level of support, we may well come back down to retest it before continuing on this journey here. If, however, we are unable to break this level here, you can see that we're running out of room. In the next sort of 6 to 8 hours, in my opinion, we're going to have to make a break. It might come much sooner, but potentially right now is basically our last gasp hope for being able to break to the upside in the shorter term. But if we are rejected, then we could well be taking a break down to this level. And as I've already alluded to, we would then probably be pushing much lower. Obviously, we got these wicks. There are potential buyers looking to come back in. Obviously, those people who've been in Solana for a while, who may have taken profits all the way back up here, have probably then started to look to rebuy at these levels. However, overall, things are looking pretty healthy for Solana. As I've mentioned, if we do take a dip, then that does mean that we will potentially have another opportunity to be buying, and potentially then you can see a further pushback up after a bit of a cool-off period. But bearing in mind, guys, this huge ramp up to the upside, what goes up must come down, and eventually what goes down must eventually come up. So a lot as well, I've seen a lot of fear in the comments, etc. And when we do get fear, that does tend to indicate that it's actually not a bad time to be looking at making a purchase. In my opinion, obviously trading is risky. Go away and do your own research. This is not financial advice, but merely just for your entertainment. So let's see what happens to Solana in the coming few hours. This $160 level right now is providing a bit of a sticking point for Solana. So let's see where we go with that. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure you smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and I'll see you again later with another video. Bye-bye.